Hello friends, this video on sorting materials into groups part 2 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. When we look at this screen, it very clearly tells us that any particular object can be made up of a variety of materials. So here I have taken the example of a chair. So when you think of a chair, you can think of a plastic chair. You can think of a chair which is made up of leather. You can think of a leather chair. You can think of a wooden chair. You can also think of a fabric chair which has cloth in it. You can also think of a fiber chair. So you see, all of these are chairs. So their purpose is the same. So these are the things over which people can sit. So the purpose of chair remains the same. But the material of which they are made up of are different. Somewhere it is leather, somewhere it is fabric, somewhere it is wood, somewhere it is plastic. Now depending on the material, the type of the chair changes. The comfort that each of these chairs give, that also changes. So looking at this picture, it clearly tells you that any particular object, so here which is the object, chair is the object, and this chair can be made up of a variety of materials. Now here we will see another interesting thing, that it is not only that one object can be made up of many different types of materials. It is also possible that a particular material can make many different objects. For example, let's think of paper. So paper is a material which can be used to make notebooks, it can be used to make books, it can also be used to make toys, it can also be used to make utensils like we saw the paper cups. So basically the same material, that is paper, can be used to make a variety of objects. So one particular material which is paper can be used to make a variety of objects. For example, notebooks. You can make paper cups, you can make paper boats, which are nothing but, you can say, kind of toys. A lot of other toys are also made out of paper. Paper can also be used to make books. So basically you can make a lot of stuffs from paper. So this proves that an object can be made up of many types of materials. A material can be used to make many different kinds of objects. Okay, so we have been talking about objects and materials since the beginning. Now you might be thinking that, okay, this lesson is about sorting materials into groups. Now, why are we talking about objects and materials? So you will understand that very, very soon. Now, the question here is, let's say you want to get a dress stitched for yourself. So you want a beautiful dress. Now your dress is made up of what? Cloth, right? It can be a cotton cloth, it can be a satin cloth, it can be a synthetic cloth, it can be a polyester cloth, but it is made up of a cloth. Why is your dress not made up of wood? Why can't you get a beautiful dress stitched with wood instead of cloth? Can you do that? No. So why did you select cloth, a particular cloth, in order to get a dress for yourself, and why not wood? So how do you decide that which material will be used to make a particular object? So till now I have been talking about materials and objects. Now when I told you that books are made up of papers, so why books are made up of papers and not wood? Similarly, when I say that utensils are made up of plastics, so why utensils are made up of plastics and not cloth? So on what basis do we decide that which material should be used for making which object? So that is the main question that will get answered by the end of this lesson. Because here we are trying to understand, why are we sorting materials? Why are we grouping materials? We are separating materials into various groups. And how are we dividing them into groups? That we will see a little later. But the agenda of this lesson is to understand how we decide which material will be used to make which object. Let's say you want a container that can store water. Okay, so you want any such container. So what comes to your mind when you think of making a container to store water? So one option is plastic, a plastic bottle. which can store liquid water. The second option is a piece of cloth. So which one do you think would be a better option? Of course, I think the plastic bottle would be a better option. Now, why can't you use a piece of cloth to store water? That's because even if you make something in the shape of a bottle using the cloth, what will happen? As soon as you pour water, water will pass through the cloth because the cloth has tiny pores. It has tiny holes and the water will pass through that cloth. So you will not be able to store water. Right? So what decided here that plastic would be a better choice than cloth to store water? The property of plastic and the property of cloth. So the cloth has a property that it allows water to pass through it, and the plastic has a property that it doesn't allow water to pass through it. Moreover, plastic is more stable. You can give it a particular shape and it will like remain stable. For cloth, it's like kind of flexible and stretchable, so it doesn't get a specific shape. So that way we can say that plastic was a better option. Right? So here we moved a step ahead. So we got to know that properties, different materials will have different properties, and these properties will decide which material is suitable for making which object. Again, think of a situation where you want to make jewelry. I think jewelry is something which is very common amongst us. We all know what are jewelry, what are ornaments. So when you want to make your jewelry, what kind of material would you choose for it? Paper or metals? So preferably we will use metals, because why do we wear jewelry? First of all, so that it looks good, so that it looks like it should be shining bright, and normally these type of properties are present in metal. So if you look at any metal, whether you talk about gold, you talk about silver, you talk about copper, you talk about iron, so all of these metals will have a shine of their own, and because of that shine, when you make jewelry out of these metals, you get shining jewelry. So that's why they are preferred over paper. Whereas paper, it doesn't have any shine. Moreover, it will not again have any structural stability. So even if you make some jewelry with paper, you might be able to wear it once or twice, but it will not be lasting long when compared to the metallic jewelry. So that is why metals are preferred for making jewelry. So different materials have different properties. So now, and these different properties of different materials decide where they will be used, or in order to make what kind of objects they will be used. So we have taken a couple of examples, right? We have taken the example of paper. We took the example for metals, which are used for making ornaments because of their shine. Similarly, when we looked at the bottle made of water, which could properly hold water, a bottle made of plastic, which could properly hold water. So this ability of the bottle to hold water enabled it to make the water bottle. So that means the properties of various materials decide what will be their purpose, or where they will be used to make objects. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.